Welcome everybody to Extreme Power No Handling, and today we're dealing with the 1965 Toyota Sports 800, recently put onto this game via the festival playlist, and yeah, it now has 760 horsepower, 550 pounds-feet of torque from a 3.6 litre turbocharged inline 6. So yeah, that's well over 700 extra horsepower than it had originally, and more than 500 extra pounds-feet of torque as well. So this is probably going to struggle a little bit, no doubt about that. Not change the gearbox though, because it would have improved the handling a fair old bit, so we don't want that. We want the handling to be as close as possible to the original car, and yeah, that would have improved it a little bit, but for whatever reason. So yeah, as you can see by the stats, they're not the worst that we've had on this series by any means, especially in terms of the handling and the general acceleration, but yeah, the braking isn't particularly good, although the fact it only weighs 1,584 pounds might actually help it in that case. So yeah, it's not going to have a lot of momentum to slow down, so those brakes might not be too shabby, and yeah, the speed is pretty good as well. So yeah, but it is at the end of the day a very lightweight rear wheel drive car with well over 700 extra horsepower that it had originally, and we're dealing with the rain. So yeah, I'm not expecting it to be mega quick. If it can beat the Honda from the previous episode, I'll be impressed. But I feel like that Honda had even more going against it, quite frankly. So yeah, have to just wait and see. So yeah, it's obviously also quite a short wheelbase vehicle, so it's not gonna have. It could, should I say, have snap oversteer at times. And obviously those tyres are not the widest either. Who knows, this could surprise. Certainly going to be agile enough, being small and not weighing much. Decent rate of speed there, nearly 30 miles an hour. So like I said, kept the standard 4-speed gearbox, because it would have improved the handling. Would have topped over 200 miles an hour if it had the 5-speed though. Once it gets in the straight line, it shifts pretty well, as you'd expect for a car with this amount of power and lack of weight. Brakes don't seem to be a massive issue, of how little it actually weighs. Not because they're actually any good, but just because it weighs so little. And obviously they were good enough for the standard car, because it only had 44 horsepower. Couldn't even top 90, so yeah, that's a pretty solid time. 1 minute 29.489. I'm pretty sure that's quicker than the Honda, so, and if it isn't, then we're very close, so we should hopefully beat it on this lap or the last lap. So yeah, 0 to 60 is now a lot quicker than it could do originally at 7.905 seconds, and it will do 100 now, as you can see, by getting there in 11.650 seconds, and it will go to top speed 144 miles an hour, far quicker than it could originally as well, which is obviously also going to be, you know, putting this car into new territory it really wasn't meant for. Yeah, you probably down a hill could probably have got this up to 95, 96 miles an hour, but certainly wasn't meant for going above 100. Certainly wasn't meant for getting to nearly 130. So yeah, strange new territory for this car, but it's dealing with it really rather well. Really, am surprised. Especially given it's got its standard gearbox, so you know, it's got its standard gear ratios and all that lot, and yet again, it's dealing with it fine. Massive improvement there, 1 minute 25.769 seconds, nearly 4 seconds quicker than our first lap. Really taking everything in its stride, I really am surprised. Shows how much of this car was actually being underutilised by its small engine and small power output. I imagine it could have easily taken at least 100 horsepower, even with the stock suspension and brakes. But I still love it even in its stock form, even if it's not, the fastest of sports cars ever. Don't think they were ever setting out to be the fastest sports car ever, or even, half as fast as the best out there at the time, so yeah. Ultimately though, I am still glad that this has been added to the game. New car to the Forza series, and yeah, one I'd not heard of until it was announced on this game, so yeah, really, really pleased to see it, and especially so because it's done remarkably well on here. It's, thoroughly surprised me. I was expecting it to be a right handful, but actually it wasn't, and it's beaten several cars that are newer than it. So yeah, 1 minute 24.651 seconds is our fastest time there, which was our last lap, and yeah, that's quicker than the Gremlin X from AMC from 8 years later, and it's also faster than the Honda Civic RS from 9 years later, which managed 1 minute 29.122. Granted, that had a lot more power to deal with and was front wheel drive, but still far quicker than that. Not as quick as the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro though, but that's a given really. It's an all-wheel drive, more modern car. But yeah, really, really surprised. I was expecting it to have loads of oversteer and just be completely unmanageable through the corners and having loads of snap oversteer because of the small wheelbase and all of that lot, and it just really wasn't. And yeah, we're only just behind the Nissan Fairlady Z432 as well, which is obviously a far more, a far quicker car in stock form, so that's more used to quick speeds, and yet quicker than that. We're not far off the Toyota FJ40, which again had all-wheel drive, so no real surprise. Quicker than the Austin Healey Sprite Mark 1, which I referenced in my review of this car, in terms of it being a similarly powerful, similarly lightweight sports car from the late 50s, early 60s, and yet that was nearly more than 10 seconds slower than this, and it had less power to deal with. More torque, but less power, and yeah, that is a surprise. So yeah, it's also quicker than the Hummer H1, the BMW Isetta, and yeah, no surprise on the Isetta, I guess, given how absolutely useless that vehicle is, even in stock form. So yeah, on the whole, really, really surprised by how well this is done, and yeah, just goes to show that its stock engine, stock power, really wasn't making the putting the suspension and the brakes to the ultimate test. So yeah, highly recommend trying this car out with a little bit extra power, quite frankly, if you're not keen on using it in its stock form. But yeah, nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.